Your money is gone, please calm down. So recently I got a job at a store that sells cheap stuff for around $1 or more. Most customers are polite and very pleasant to talk to. Some, however, make me seriously regret accepting this job, and today I had one of those customers. A woman came into my line today with one thing, and she did the dumb thing of putting her cash on the belt, which you should never do because the belt acts like a vending machine when you put paper money on it. Henceforth, the belt took her $5 bill and she instantly started flipping out, and I mean literally hysterical. She stated how she wasn't leaving till she gets her $5 back and then starts making a list of demands such as wanting to talk to the owner of the store when there is no owner, the highest manager is the district manager, wanting us to take the whole belt apart to fish out her lost Lincoln, which was physically impossible to do, or write her a check for the money that she lost. Basically, she was blaming us for her lack of common sense, like fully blaming me as if I did it on purpose cause customers are the devil or something. She was holding up a line of people while her meltdown was going on while me and the assistant manager tried to figure out what to do, and she took care of the line. We eventually decided to let her take 3 more things on top of the one thing she was getting, and I accidentally told her she could take 4 and she wouldn't hear any other variation. She was adamant about the fact she could take 4 things, and that was my bad because I worded it wrong, but she was still acting entitled about it, and eventually she went off to the aisle and grabbed whatever she wanted. A few minutes later, I saw her trying to walk out with a handful of stuff, and we had to stop her and told her she needed to scan it, and she got really offended by this too. Eventually, she calms down and says she's not a bad person, lets us scan her stuff and leaves, and the friend she was with had nothing to say the whole time. My drawer would have been 5 short, but a really nice lady gave me $5 because she didn't want me to get in trouble over it, and she agreed the lady was crazy. I do agree anyone would be annoyed at this happening, but it's not an excuse to act like a toddler. Man, I feel like you guys just got hustled. How do you even know that the $5 bill she lost in the conveyor belt was even real? For all you know, she could have brought in Monopoly money and been like, oh, you guys ate my $5. Seriously, she got the free items out of it, I don't know, man. I've just got a feeling you got hustled by a Karen. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Today we're going to be taking a look at some stories from Tales from Retail, one of the best subreddits that's got some Karen encounters for days. I figured it would be something y'all would enjoy, so without further ado, let's go. The Ravioli Man. I work at a gas station, and the other day I had a man come in and grab a whole bunch of IPAs before we were allowed to sell alcohol. Where I live, we have a law that doesn't allow us to sell between a certain time, and I told him, hey man, you're too early, but if you wait 5-10 minutes, I can get you set up with that. I had other things to do, so I left my coworker up front and walked into the back, and one of our managers was in the back, and I said, this dude must really want his booze. And she said, oh, I was going to ask you about him. He was just standing there looking a little weird. Then I looked at the camera as she pointed at him, and I saw something put something in his pocket. I thought it was booze, and I told her, watch the cameras, I think he took something. So she goes back to review the footage, and as I'm walking up there, he's walking out, so I go out to take a smoke break. I see him go to his car and start eating something, and I come back in and say it wasn't alcohol, it was a can of food, and she confirms he took it. He comes back in to pay for the booze, and my manager says, hey, make sure he pays for that. So I went up to him and said, hey, I saw you steal the thing on video, I'm gonna need you to pay for it. He ignored me and continued the transaction for his booze, so I walked around and grabbed the can of ravioli and scanned it after his transaction. And he proceeded to say, oh, we're good, right? And I said, no, can you pay for this real quick? And he proceeded to say, F you and your ravioli, and leaves the store, and as he's driving off, throws the ravioli at the door, and it splattered everywhere, making a giant mess that I have to clean up. Flash forward a couple days later, and he comes back in and said, hey man, after the other day's situation, you're not really allowed in here anymore. To which he replied, well, F you. And I told him, hey man, you can just leave. And he said, or I could just punch you in your face because you have a very punchable nose. And I said, you can just leave, man. You can go before I call the cops. And he continued to spout stuff off about wanting to beat me up or how he could just punch me in the face and I'm an idiot. And then I responded, hey, I've dealt with harder people from a different location I worked at. And he said, F you and the location you work at, and left. And now I've had cops contacting me and we're trying to get him trespassed from the store. How are you this mad after you eat ravioli, bro? You're not you when you're hungry, but you shouldn't be hungry anymore. Chef Boyardee should have calmed that down. Seriously, how are you gonna eat SpaghettiOs and still be pissed? I just don't get it. Customer orders something last minute and thinks I'll come in on my day off to deliver it. So I wasn't directly involved with this, but a coworker told me this happened a day before we close. For some important information, I work in a building supply store as a delivery driver, and I'm the only one where I work who's licensed and certified to operate and drive a boom truck. For those that aren't familiar with them, it's a large transport truck with a crane on it for unloading material. So my worker told me they've been dealing with this customer for several days who couldn't make up their minds on what material they wanted to redo their roof in. Today alone, the customer called 5 times. So about an hour before the store was closing, the customer finally decided what they wanted, and the customer said, "I want it delivered tomorrow and boomed up to the roof." My coworker informed them that they will be unable to deliver tomorrow with a boom because their only driver licensed to operate it was off. I worked 5 days this week, so it was my weekend. The customer wasn't happy and saying that it's no good and I needed to come deliver it tomorrow. And also said, "I'm sure you can have your driver come in and just do my delivery." My coworker snapped back saying, "No, we're not going to come in to ask him to do the delivery. It's the driver's weekend off and he worked the whole week and he's earned the time off." They told the customer the soonest they could get it delivered and they wanted it boomed would be when my weekend off was done. The customer repeated that it was no good and they needed the material tomorrow, and my coworker said, "That doesn't sound like an us emergency. If you need something boomed, we need notice." And the customer replied, "Well, I'm giving you adequate notice." My coworker explained that it wasn't adequate notice because they were placing their order within an hour of closing, expecting the next day delivery, and pointed out that if the customer had decided to order sooner, they probably could have gotten it today since I was in. Eventually, the customer backed down and agreed to have everything delivered tomorrow, but it would only be dropped on the ground and not taken up to the roof. But then the customer said, "And when I pay with cash, I get a discount, right?" And my coworker bluntly told them no. As my coworker was telling me that, I told them they could throw the law at the customers because I had already worked 5 days and was near the end of my hours for what I'm legally allowed to drive with the truck, just in case this customer decided to make things more difficult in the future. Amazon Prime has just ruined everyone's concept of what like a fair delivery is. I need it now, tomorrow. And it's like, you expect me to get a crane to your location tomorrow with 4 hours notice. If Amazon Prime can deliver my package in 2 days, I don't know why you can't get a crane operator. Customer doesn't want to take my generous discount for a perfectly good item. This happened just a few days ago and I'm still amazed at the stupidity of this guy. It was a pretty slow day and I was over at self-checkout when a guy came up to ring up his stuff. The last item he wanted to get was a paintbrush he had supposedly found on a clearance rack that was missing its cover and had a dent in the metal, which I later realized is a part of the design. He asked me what kind of discount I could give it for him, and I told him I'd give him 50% off, which is usually what we take off for damaged items. He decided that wasn't good enough and tried to get me to give it to him for 75% off. Now, keep in mind this perfectly good brush was $14, bristles in mint condition with no signs of wear and tear, literally just no cover, which I think he probably just took off and shoved in his pocket, and he wanted it for $3. I told him 50% was the best I could do, and he told me in a huff to take the brush off his bill. And after he left, a couple of my coworkers looked at it and said they wouldn't have given him any more than 15% off, so I was being generous. I don't understand why some people think they can come into a store and haggle for the price they want. That's not how it works around here. How mad do you have to be to think 50% off is not a good enough discount? If I went to a store and like the box was ripped open and I said, "Hey, can I get a discount?" and they were like, "Sure, half off," I'd be like, "Yo, that's dope." I could never imagine, no, that's not enough, okay, 75% off or I walk. I just don't understand how some people think negotiating works. I don't think stores would stay in business if they were handing out 50% or 75% discounts like candy. No, ma'am, I can't sell you $100 of merchandise for $5. I was working at a clothing store and we have packs of underwear hanging on a wall near the front of the store. The wall is split into 2 sections. The bottom is single pairs that go for $2, and then there's packs of 8 that cost $20. They are not the same brand, they're different materials, they look different, and are on different parts of the wall. On part of the wall that contains only the single pairs is a sign that says 5 for 5. A woman walked up to the register with 5 8-packs of underwear and made conversation before presenting her with her total. That will be $100. No, that'll be $5. Well, no, that'll be $100. No, they're 5 for 5. It says so on the sign. At this point, I know what sign she saw and I know what mistake she's making, but in an attempt to show her the error of the ways, I asked her to show me the sign. Look, it's right there, 5 for 5. Well, actually, the 5 for 5 is referencing the single pairs that are $2. Her face lit up with anger and disgust, as if I had defecated on the floor and asked her to clean it up with her tongue. Well, then why is that sign there? Why are those packs with these packs? These packs are on the wall and it says 5 for 5 and I'll take them at that price. Usually I could adjust the price, but I can't sell you $100 worth of merchandise for $5. Well, then you need to remove that sign because it's false advertising. Well, no. No? Yeah, no. At this point, my heart was in my throat, and I actually could have gotten in trouble for how I spoke to her depending on which manager, but instead she just kind of walked out of the store. Even if the sign was ambiguous, assuming a sale of that magnitude is just silly. Listen, I understand trying to get a good deal, but like, come on, bro. This is just insane. How do people not understand how businesses make money? They pay X, right? They have to sell it to you for more. So, you know, if it's usually $100, how could they possibly sell it to you for $5 and make any money? Do people think that stores are just in business and open to like make them happy? You're discriminating against people who don't drive. I work at a higher end clothing store and I tend to not get too many out there customers, but this guy took the cake. A man came in with about 3 small children and shopped for a half an hour while running me completely ragged in the process and then went to pay for his item. He had a store credit card with us, but he didn't have it on him and I said, no problem, I can look it up with your driver's license or state ID. Oh, I don't drive, I'll show you my passport. Well, sir, our computer does not scan passports as a valid form of ID. The scanner only responds to licenses or state ID. But a passport is better form of ID than a driver's license. This is Uncle Sam right here. I understand, but our computer system only scans driver's license and state IDs. But a passport is a government-issued ID. Yeah, but our computer physically cannot scan a passport. I can only scan a driver's license or state-issued ID. Well, then I'll just take my business elsewhere then. He proceeded to storm out of the store, and honestly, I was a bit relieved until 5 minutes later he come barging back into the store. Here, I found my ID. Now please look up my credit card. He pulled out his passport. Sir, I cannot accept this as... Scan it! This is my ID! You are discriminating against people that don't drive! Would you like me to call customer service and see if there's anything I can do for you? No, I don't want you to call customer service. I want you to scan my ID and look up my credit card. At this point, my manager sees the commotion going on and came over to help me out and tells this guy exactly what I've been repeating to him for the last 10 minutes. We apologize to him for the inconvenience and offer him a coupon, and he kept yelling and ranting and raving before he finally takes his kids, swears he'll never shop with us again, and is reporting us for discrimination and stormed out of the store for a second time, and he got into a car and drove away. Man, this is the worst because you're not even trying to be mean. You're like, listen, dude, my computer won't scan a passport. And he's like, yes, it will. And you're like, it really will not, okay? I don't know what to tell you. Well, you're a moron, all right? I shouldn't have to have a driver's license to shop at your store. Okay, bro, like clearly she doesn't care about you driving. It doesn't matter. It's just a situation where the computer can't read the format you want him to, dude. Customer calls. I work lower management at an overnight grocery store, and boy do we get some odd calls. Usually it's just normal stuff like, are you guys open? No, it's 3 a.m. and you Googled the number and it said closed next to it. Or, hey, can you check if you got X item in stock? No, mostly because I don't want to, partially because it says we don't do that. But sometimes I have to absolutely crush some clueless old person or hungry stoner's hearts. A guy called me up one night and asked me to check if we had canned peaches, and I was in a good mood and didn't want to do actual work, so I went and checked. We did, and I told him that, and then he asked me if we had the sugar-free kind, and I had just seen them, so I said, yeah, we have peaches and water, no sugar added. The dude came back with, no, I just found out I'm diabetic, I need peaches with no sugar at all. I had to break it to him. Buddy, all peaches have sugar in them, they're a fruit. He just said, oh, thanks, in the most defeated tone ever, and hung up. To this day, this guy has like a framed picture of a peach up on his wall, and he just sheds one single tear, and he's like, if only I could enjoy you again, Peach. You know, he's just dramatically in love with a fruit for absolutely no reason. He's just like, got it everywhere. He's got tattoos of peaches all over him. Can't you just buy it for me? Relevant to the story, we're unable to take orders over the phone. Credit cards must be physically swiped or inserted at the register, and there's literally no way around this. The setting, though, is a shoe store. Just a few days ago, I had just clocked in for my closing shift and the phone rang. "Good afternoon, thank you for calling Shoe Store. How may I help you?" "Oh, hi. I was in your store earlier looking at a pair of shoes, and I'm just kicking myself for not buying them. I'd like you to ship them for me." "Unfortunately, we are unable to take orders over the phone, but I'd be glad to put them on hold for you." "But I live all the way in the same state in which my store is located, and I can't make the trip all the way out there again." I'm sorry about that, but I have no way of taking payment over the phone." "Can I order them online?" "Possibly. What shoe are you looking at?" "I don't know." A little back and forth ensues with her attempting to explain what the shoe looked like and where it was located, and I'm somehow able to find it, and it's a single pair of sandals from last year that are on super mega clearance because they're so old. Unfortunately, you won't be able to find these on our website. They're from last year. "So what am I supposed to do?" "Go back in time and buy them when you were here?" "I'm not sure, ma'am." "Oh, you can ship them to me, and when I get them, I'll mail you a check." "Sorry, ma'am, I can't send out merchandise that hasn't been paid for." The woman was getting increasingly frustrated. "Is there anyone else I can talk to? A manager?" Me, trying to suppress laughter as my manager is staring at me, shaking his head, hearing my side of the conversation. "Nope, I'm the only manager here right now." "Well, then you can buy it for me, and I'll mail you a check." "Excuse me?" "They're not even $20. You pay for it, and I'll send you a personal check. I'm good for it." "I'm not gonna do that." "Well, is there anyone else that would?" "No, ma'am, no one's gonna buy your shoes for you." The staring from my manager intensified, and we both exchanged the "I can't wait to talk about this one" look. "Well, this is ridiculous. All I want is those shoes, and no one will help me, so there's nothing you can do?" "No, ma'am, I'm afraid there isn't." "Well, then thanks a lot." Click. I burst out laughing and regale my manager with the full conversation, and a nearby customer overheard and also started laughing, and I spent most of the remaining shift hiding in the back room because I feel like I earned it. I love how she was like, "No, I'll send you a check." "Okay, lady, I don't know if you know this. One of the reasons we stopped using checks is because you can write whatever you want on it, send it to them, and it's not gonna cash." I'm not saying she was trying to steal from anyone, okay? It could have just been a confused old lady, but I'm just saying there's a reason stores don't really like checks anymore, let alone one sent through the mail when you're gonna get the shoes ahead of time. "Oh, I just forgot to pay. That sucks. Oh well." Closed is closed. I'm only 16, but I work at a local pharmacy gift shop in my town, and the customers are generally pretty chill older folks, and yesterday was a special exception. We close at 3 on Sundays, and at around 2:58 I stand by the door waiting for the all clear to lock it. There was a man in the back having trouble filling his prescription, but it was all good because he's apologetic for realizing it's closed. 3 rolled around and my boss gave me the thumbs up, and usually if there's someone like the guy in the back, I just wait for him to finish up and unlock the door for him. And that was my plan today, but as I lock the door, a car comes speeding into the parking lot and parks out front. Seeing as we've closed, I know I'm gonna have to tell this already pissed off looking old lady she's gonna have to wait till tomorrow, and we'll refer to her as RB henceforth. I unlocked the door and poked my head out. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we just closed. Is there something in particular you're looking for? They have it over in the neighborhood market." "What do you mean it's closed? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon." "Yeah, ma'am, we close at 3 on Sundays. I'm sorry for the inconvenience." "Can't you just let me get my prescription really quick?" At this point, I can tell that this is not gonna go well. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but we have closed and are no longer legally allowed to process prescriptions, so you're gonna have to wait until tomorrow." "What about the man that's in there now? You don't seem to have a problem with him. Let me in." "He walked into the store at around 2:45 and we're having trouble processing his prescription, and as soon as he's done, he'll be leaving as well." "It's only 3:05. Let me in." "Closed is closed, ma'am. I'm sorry." At this point, I close the door and relock it, waiting for the man in the back to finish up, and she begins pounding on the door, ordering to see my boss. Luckily, he and the man finished up and they both walked to the front door, and as I unlock it for the man, she tries to force herself in to get her prescription, and at this point my boss stepped in. "Miss, I'm sorry, but we're closed now. You're gonna have to come back tomorrow for your prescription." "What is wrong with you people? You're denying me my medication. I need it." "How many doses do you have left?" "Enough to last through Tuesday, but Great, see you Tuesday." And he closed the door in her face, which prompted more shouting, and as we leave and lock up the door, she continues screaming at us until we all drove off. She was back today and got her prescription medication, and she somehow managed to survive through the night. I think you're spot on by saying closed is closed, but I also have to give a huge kudos to your boss for handling that like an absolute G, you know? Being accused of denying somebody their medication, I'm sure doesn't feel too great if you're a pharmacist. I don't really know if you guys take an oath or anything, but if you did, I bet that's part of it. So to be like, okay, well, how many pills do you have left? Well, enough to last through the night. Bet, see you tomorrow. What an absolute G, dude. Seriously, though, I don't understand what some people expect. This entire Reddit thread, or this entire subreddit, just makes me think that people don't understand that businesses don't exist solely to, like, make that person's life easier. You know, someone owns it. They also want to go home to their kids, not just sit around waiting for you to get everything done. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought, and of course, subscribe if you're new. If you like these videos, I post them pretty often. If you really want to help me out, I do post the audio version on Spotify. If you ever want to listen offline without gameplay, whatever floats your boat, it is an option. Link down below in the description. And yeah, on that note, guys, I'm going to go 1v1 a Karen. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.